Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for the Lex Talk World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today, we have Mr. Shubham Datta with us. Shubham is a well groomed and professionally seasoned second year practicing lawyer, graduated from Symbiosis International University, having expertise in the field of intellectual property laws and corporate laws. During his initial years into the law school, he had a keen interest in legal research skills and ultimately worked towards a great deal on various research papers, presenting them in various reputed colleges. And a lot of his work has been published in various famous journals. So, without any further ado, let me make you meet the man himself. Shubham, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you. It's a great opportunity for me to join here in person, through the video interview. I would really like to thank the Lex Talk platform for giving me this opportunity to do this.
It's absolutely our pleasure to have you on board, Mr. Datta, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I'm sure you are still a young professional, as still a young legal professional. But there are so many people who have been in the space for quite some time, and there are so many who are still aspiring to be in this era, in this journey. So I'm sure this chat is going to help them learn out of your experiences and what we can really help them into kind of making it big into the legal industry.
Sure, Vinay. Yeah,
All
looking
right,
forward
so
for it.
absolutely. So without any ado, let me quickly move towards the first question that we have for you today here. And in this question, we would like to ask about the most complex legal issue that you have worked upon. I'm so sorry if I'm making it very tough right at the beginning, but we would like to start from there. And if you can please describe the complexity of and tell us how you approached it.
Vinay, recently I have handled a case in relation to intellectual property law, more specifically the Copyrights Act. So there was a case in relation to a Bengali classical movie. The name is Nayak. So the actors who have actually performed are quite legendary in West Bengal. Uttam Kumar was there. He was when he was there. He was a god to most of the Bengali people. And the director of that movie was Satyajit Ray. He was one of the Nobel laureates of that era. So the movie naturally was quite a legendary kind of a movie. So in the year 2018, a book publishing company came forward and they wanted to novelize this version of the movie. So they accordingly took permission from, they thought that they had to take the permission from the Nobel laureate's son, that is Satyajit Ray's son, Sandeep Ray. So they took permission from it. Satyajit Ray's son thought that he was in the right to give them the proper license and authority to take this kind of action. So he accordingly made an agreement, gave them the license to do this novelized version of the film. So what happened was that in the year 2019, when the whole book was almost completed and they were planning for the launch event, they went forward and contacted the producer of the movie to use some of the parts, some of the clips of the movie so that they could actually use it in their launch event while they're launching their so-called book. So when they informed the producer was shocked. They said that we were actually the producers of the movie, and according to the regulations and law, you should have taken the permission, but we were not even informed about the novelized version of the movie, let alone that you were launching the novelized version of that film. So we are not going to allow you that. So this generally took a huge wrong turn. There was a huge dispute regarding this. So there was exchange of legal notices and all. This case was quite special because it involved the legendary actor. The Satyajit Ray's son also was involved, and I got to see them in person. I worked in the media and entertainment law, figured out a way. Eventually, what happened is that we landed a case against them. We sued them under the Infringement Act or in the Copyrights Act, and we got the compensation that we agreed for. So this was quite special because it involved celebrities as well. It was quite special.
Oh, amazing. I think, it would have been, a very complex case. At the same time, it would have been some time for you where you kind of, you had those people right in front of you that you used to watch on television before, and you used to think that maybe I can meet them someday, but you met them in the courtroom probably. So not the best place to meet celebrities, but yes, you had them right in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was a quite good experience, taking from the point of view of a young lawyer when you are
Yeah.
talking to these experienced people, the kind of view that you have changes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you get to see the another side of the world as well, which is, at times just behind the curtains. Anyways, I think it must have been a very enriching case for you in terms of learning as well. And I'm sure while we are kind of having this discussion, we would like to know more about from your experiences till far so far. I'll quickly move on to the next question, and this is related to pandemic. So we are still into this, not really out of that completely. So the pandemic saw some courts being moving towards more remote proceedings and availability. Is this sustainable and a possible way to increase access to justice, in your opinion?
Well, Vinay, I would say that the spread of coronavirus and the nationwide lockdown has prompted the Supreme Court and the High Court to conduct a lot of judicial proceedings online. So yeah, we know that we have from the era when we were not independent, and now at this present era we have actually developed a lot. The IT infrastructures have developed, but there are a lot of cons in the development. There are a lot of gaps in the development that we needed. So judicially speaking, these judicial forums didn't have that kind of IT infrastructure. So one thing that good that came out of it was that in person we have actually developed our IT infrastructure to give a platform for lawyers to go into the court proceedings online and present the arguments while being present anywhere in the world. So that is a very good thing where people from any remote places can actually go forward and go and attend the proceedings. But at the same time, I would say that uh, it matters on the perspective, because online as it may be, we are in a country where there are a lot of remote areas wherein a lot of internet has not been reached in those places. So online platform doesn't work probably in those places. So lawyers has to come into a place where the online portfolio would come and actually work. So this is one of the problems that also has a backdrop. But eventually, since this is a start, coronavirus has started this thing wherein we have actually developed our IT infrastructure into the judicial proceedings. So this is one of the things that has actually given a step forward for us. But at the same time, also, if you look at the ratio, like online, you can argue, but the way you present cases when you go in front of a judge physically, that is something different. Okay, because you throw your skills, your argumentation skills while you're there at the at in front of a judge, that matters a lot. While you're doing online, that also there is a difference between that. You can convince quite well when you go face to face on in front of a judge, but online it is quite difficult to handle that kind of process. So yeah, there is a development obviously, but it needs a lot of work in that area. So probably in the future, I think that this may lead to a betterment of the judicial proceedings altogether.
Yes, I'm pretty much sure about that. And I think, Shubham, since it's a new beginning, it's a new era now, and we are kind of moving towards these, online proceedings, virtual proceedings. I'm not sure, but I've heard a lot of legal professionals saying that this is going to stay there now. I mean, even if we are out of the pandemic, this is going to stay there, as because once the technology has created those options wherein you can do these proceedings, the courts will not be waiting for people to be physically present in front of them in any other situation as well. If the justice has to be given, the justice will be given, and this probably might just shorten the time that it takes for the justice to come up, and probably the courtroom times that we might start savings upon sometimes. Do you agree on that?
Well, yeah, well, time consuming it was when you are actually physically doing a case, time consuming it was. Online platform has actually cut short a lot of time. I would
Yeah,
really agree on that fact. But the
yeah,
thing is that we need a lot of development in that area.
yeah.
Probably in the next like 10 years, maybe, or 15 years, we can get there. But right now, what I am saying is that we do not have simply the enough infrastructure to support
True,
us through that system. So we
true,
need a
true.
lot of development in that area,
Yeah.
because I was just looking into some of the reports, so
Hmm.
I have seen that according to TERAI, there are like 72% of the population that does not even have access to internet. While our country is growing, there are
Yeah,
72% of the population, they are still have so many problems in internet.
true.
So naturally, metro people are more accustomed with the using of internet, but
Yeah.
remote places where there is no computer right now, which is also an issue
Hmm.
for them, it
Yeah,
is very important to for them it is a problem. So it is very much
true.
important for us to get a development plan to set up
Yeah,
on the right
yeah.
track, so that we can actually get a good access to justice, and justice cannot be denied to everyone. These remote people, they do not have access to that.
True, absolutely right. And I'm pretty much sure, since it's just the beginning, I'm sure maybe, as you said, maybe in 10 years or 15 years of time, those infrastructures that are required will take time to be developed. And then only we will be able to kind of see the best of this, the best of legal and technology coming together and making the justice probably quicker and making it available to the people much more faster. Thank you so much on that particular question. I think it's an eye opener for all of us, for our young legal professionals. I'd like to say, if you are getting into the profession now, make sure that technology's book are there in your bags always, because this is going to be the next big thing. I'll quickly move on to the next question for you, Shubham. And here, if you can please help us understand, how would you rate the current legal system's drive towards encouraging to justice? Is there a tangible movement in closing the justice gap, do you think?
So presently, Vinay, I would say that government has taken a lot of steps to, educate and literaise the population altogether. So like if I talk about 10 years back, people had no idea how the legal system works. Right now, government has taken a lot of initiative to educate those people so that they could at least get to know the basic fundamental rights which they have. So yeah, in the recent years, government has introduced a slew of measures to improve access to justice and justice delivery, like setting up e-courts under a mission mode project for computerizing of court, delivery of e-services to stakeholders, funding of infrastructures to subordinate courts under state government, and funding of family courts as well. So yeah, government has taken a lot of initiatives. There is also an initiative that has been taken in the states of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, wherein they have educated young lawyers to better to give proper justice to the remote population of the society. So I think the name of the project I forgot, but I think the name of the project is Information, Education, Communication Project, something like that. I don't remember the project's name, but it's there, wherein young population, young lawyers from these states, like 20 states, 20 lawyers from each state, they educate these people so that they can help and improve the society, help in the legal aid of that society as well, the remote societies. So they have given a lot of thought on it, and they have actually developed a lot of schemes wherein marginalized people who do not know about the legal structure, legal phenomena, they get to know and they could actually use their right in a proper manner. So yeah, in today's day, I would say that yeah, the current legal schemes that have been developed by the government, there is a drive towards educating and getting proper access to justice by the government. So it's a move forward.
Okay, it is, and it's definitely I think it's a good move. It's a right move in the right direction. Obviously, things will take its own time to develop, to be able, so that people are able to actually get the justice through those quicker ways and making people and making these lawyers aware and educate them. But at least there is a drive, and as long as things are moving north, things are moving in the right direction, we all should be contributing towards it. I'll quickly move to the next question, Shubham, and this time let's talk about technology a little bit. So in the era of legal technology, what are your most commonly used tools?
Uh, See, right now legal technology has come up with so many different things that would actually help you do your thing in a very time consuming way. Researchers have shortened out, you could do a research which used to take a lot of time in the earliest years. So yeah, so they have developed a lot of things. For me, I would personally say that for the case law precedents, finding precedents is one of the most important work that we do. Like when we are actually giving a statement, we don't give a statement based on some literal facts. We actually go and get a proper do a proper research on how we are basing that statement. So we have to do a proper legal fact check, we have to do a proper legal case analogy check, and on that basis we make our facts. So for me, when I'm going through a research on case laws, I would say that Manupatra and SCC has really helped me out a lot. These are two tools that can actually minimize your work and make your research very much easier. Earlier, there was no such technology. So what happens is that lawyers used to go through books and books and books. They used to have huge chambers, huge libraries of books. They used to go through those books, and they used to find out a case law. But that case law is not a specific case law. On that case law, there would be a case law that would lead to another case law, and the research would go on and on for days, and then you probably would have found a good case law to depend your case upon. But right now these tools have really helped out. I would say that if one knows these tools, it would actually make their life much more easier in terms of research. Secondly, I would say that as a lawyer, you really need to get an update on how all the things are going on today's world. What are all the amendments that are going on right now, updates in all those amendments, the new legislations that are coming up, the new case laws or landmark judgments that Supreme Court are prying upon. So I would suggest that live law is one of the most important. Like for me, it gives me a good gist update on what all case laws that has come up today, or what all case law Supreme Court has landed the judgment upon. So these are some of the technologies that I really prioritize on. LinkedIn also helps a lot, I would say, because there would be a lot of update that you can get on LinkedIn, and on a brief note. Every lawyer, sometimes they help out also. So they give a brief note of the judgment that recently the Supreme Court has decided upon. So you can read that judgment, you can be clear that this is the case law, this is the fact, and this is how you're going to proceed. So that is something that you should definitely be doing while you are being a lawyer, and you should have a proper update on things.
Absolutely. So as Shubham said, if you're a lawyer and you want to keep yourself updated, you want to, do your research for your cases, these are the tools that you should keep them handy with. Make sure that you, right after this video, you go ahead, search for these tools and bookmark them on your laptops, on your computers. They're going to be very helpful to you. All right, Shubham, thank you so much for sharing those great insights on that particular one. I'll quickly move to the last question of the session today. And this is related to our pockets. This is related to money. So since time is money in any profession, and in legal, it's most of all, how do you ensure to make the best of your time as a lawyer?
Um, well, as they say, law is a jealous mistress. A career in law is very enriching one that will most definitely give you a keen perspective and knowledge in every areas of law and society that is general. So you would have a very in-depth knowledge, and people would actually respect you for that, because that is the only reason they come to you, right? Because they don't know a lot about a different kinds of things that is going around. So they come to you
Yeah.
for knowledge, for your wisdom only. So a career in law, uh, no matter how glorious and fancy it may look like, uh, it may sound very uh, fancy. You can earn a lot of money out of it. However, it requires constant dedication, motivation, hardships, and diligence to make a successful career out of it. Uh, uh, I personally would say that I know in today's world there have been a lot of law graduates that has come up, and competition is at its peak right now. So yeah, so I would suggest that from your law school, if you are very much dedicated, if you have not mugged up the law, but actually have tried to apply the keen senses of law, that would really help you out in the long run. Because see, in today's generation, marks really don't matter, but the knowledge that you get out of it, how much you remember from that law that you have studied, that matters a lot. So don't study on basis of marks. That would not help you out in the long run. I'm still young, but I have faced this situation a lot of times. People actually respects you when you actually know. So knowledge really helps you out a lot. So what you can do is that discipline is the key to success for us generally. You should be regularly learning new things. The moment you have become complacent on yourself, that yes, I am done. I know everything. I don't need anything else. I have mastered a particular law. That is the moment when you lose the race. This is a constant race. You should be running that. And if you want to top that race, you should be learning each and every day out of each and everything that you see or you research on. That is a keen thing. This career path is highly competitive. Sacrifices are bound to happen in the pathway to success. But once you reach there, you will realize that it's worth it, because people will come to you, they will respect you, and they will always come to you for opinions. When you don't even have opinions, they will still come to you because you have a keen judgment that they depend upon. That is a very keen thing that you should understand about this thing. What I do is that I usually keep myself updated with the new regulations and provisions, with various precedents of judgments that come up. This is a very important part of everyone's career. Everybody should remember that. You cannot forsake this for anything, because your clients might tell you, come up with a good case, okay? But recently there has been a amendment, or recently Supreme Court has landed a landmark judgment on this fact. If you are unable to tell your clients or convince your client, and your client might know this kind of judgment has come up, then you would look like a fool. You should always be thorough with what you are doing. That's how client would come up again. Once you have done their case, they might be satisfied. But if you are half-heartedly knowledge, they won't come to you, because they don't know that if you would be able to do it in the future or not. Client satisfaction is something else, but you can satisfy the client even more when you know that part of law. Convincing the client, that's how you convince the client, through your knowledge. So this is very important thing that I learned my way through while dealing with a lot of clients. uh, so yeah, so discipline, hard work, everything in time. So what you can do is that you can set up a goal, how much task you can do in a particular amount of time. This is something that will actually increase your talent, increase your experience, your knowledge and skill sets as well. Dedicating each and every task in a given amount of time, this will also help you in the long run to get money out of it. Because when you are a big lawyer or short lawyer, you will be getting a lot of cases. Once you get a lot of cases, you have to allot time, because time is money. There might be 4 to 5 cases that you would be getting. You
True.
have to appear on 4 to 5 cases. So you have to go through all those things. If you just read one brief in just one night, then you won't be able to appear in all those cases, and then no clients would come. So discipline, allotting time will generally help you out. That's my advice.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I truly love that answer, Shubham, because I think when I asked this question, I had a little perspective in my mind, and I was just thinking, I was probably thinking that you'll be talking about how a lawyer should be spending his time, but you started off talking about the knowledge first, which makes it more interesting, So, and then I started thinking maybe you're going to say time, maybe not time, but knowledge is money for lawyers. But then you kind of started talking about once you have that knowledge, once you have that keen perspective towards things, people will come to you to grab that information to help them out in their legal cases and their in their situations and everything. And then probably from there you started talking about how you should be allotting your time wisely amongst different cases. Wow, amazing. I think there is, for our all our viewers, I'd like to kind of highlight this point, that this is where that keen perspective really comes into the picture. How are you really allotting your time and making sure that you make the best out of it? But I think I just love this answer. Thank you so much, Shubham, for sharing that great insight with us. And I'm sure a lot of us will be kind of making our notes to understand and probably to implement these best practices into our careers as well. So on that, we come to the end of this session. Thank you so much, Shubham, for sharing those
Thank
great
you so
insights with
much for
us.
having me,
It
Vinay.
was a pleasure to have you on this quick session, and probably we would be looking forward to have a quick session once again with you in the future. And
Sure,
and
sure.
we'll like to talk about some other trending topics in the legal industry. For now, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us at the Lex Talk World Talk Show. This is Vinay signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.